Remember to log on your phone.
Oh yeah.
Mm-mm. So you think the Cardinals are going to be decent this year? Or you think they're going to suck like usual?
Uh I think it all depends. I think it depends on where Nolan's gonna how he's gonna mesh with this team. I mean, let's be honest. It's a sorry, I'm logging in. It's a long season, so wait. Okay, we just got an email. I haven't logged on this phone. 1 second. What's that? Uh, I don't have the email on this phone. Can you check our email? Send me that. Let me know what that code is,
Yeah.
please.
Are you logging on as Untapped Keg?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
No,
you don't.
log on your own.
Right. Okay.
Dork.
But I mean, it'll depend. It's a long season. I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. If you want my honest opinion, I think possibly midway, but I don't know. For me, when it, oh, I guess. Well, we can talk about this once we get going.
All right. All right. Signed on.
Yep, I am. And I guess. Well, we can talk about this once we get going. Yeah, audio sounds crisp.
Right? Once once we figured that out, like now we just got to figure out the editing part.
Crisp.
What I'm saying. Speaking of which, I need to send these for the audio being crisp. I need to send them like $5.
Ooh.
The people who made the how we get the audio crisp, basically a virtual equalizer. It's free. They survive on donations, so I need to send them a donation. Ready for this?
Indeed, I am, sir.
All right. What is up, sports fans? Woo! I am RJ Zimmerman. You're tapping into some Untapped Keg Sports. One of your hosts here with my brother-in-law, Monte Ball. How you doing, big fella?
Yo, I'm alive and well, happy, excited, feeling good, energized, all of the above. We got some on fire topics to get into here. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it today. How are you doing?
I'm good. You got to see me earlier today
Mm-hmm.
and worked overnight, and I was like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. And then like 10 minutes later, I fell asleep for like an hour. It's funny when it hits you, it's like a freight train. There's no stopping it.
Sorry, I'm taking some notes right here. Yeah, taking some notes.
You should be.
Taking some really good notes here. Yeah. So let's go ahead and dive right into it, man. Let's go ahead and dive right into it. I think it's I think the most on fire topic right now is what's going on. What's going on with the Chiefs, man?
The
What?
fan controlled football league.
No, I'm talking about the Chiefs.
Oh.
Yeah. What's going on with the Chiefs, man? So for those who may not have saw the news, hold on, I'm about to finish up my notes here. But for those who have not seen the news, so the Chiefs, and this is what every team does. We even did it at Denver, where it's obviously rather than every single player going out and getting their haircuts before the team plane takes off for an away game. Um, what happens is, usually the team teams up with a trusted barber because that barber will be coming into the facilities. So obviously, this has to be an individual that that's gone through the screening process. And so, what happened with the Chiefs is their barber tested positive for COVID. Unfortunately, I do hope that he's okay.
Mid haircut.
Mid haircut, yeah, and
for their center.
Yep, and I think that day, right, he cut 13 of the players' heads, including Mahomes. I think that's what I read.
No, Mahomes was scheduled. He didn't get cut yet.
He was scheduled. Okay, I misread that.
I'm pretty sure it was only 2 players. It was wide receiver, Robinson, and then and then the center.
Okay, so then I misread that then. So it was 13 to 14 players that were scheduled to get cut, but still, obviously, when one player obviously is that close to an individual who tests positive, because obviously you guys we're talking about getting your hair cut here, talking about getting your hair cut. So when you're getting your hair cut, obviously you're right there in the barber's face. So that is what's on fire right now. No one really knows. I haven't really seen much news about if anybody else has tested positive, RJ, or if they're going to postpone the Super Bowl so that they can obviously have that window of the virus maybe being dormant for a little bit. So that's the topic right now is what's going to happen. What's going to happen? What is going on with the Chiefs? What are they going to do? What is the NFL going to do? Is the NFL just going to let it go and just say keep the game on schedule? Which
yeah,
they're going
too many wheels are rolling. So
too many ads.
So it was Demarcus Robinson and Daniel Kilgore, the backup center. Demarcus Robinson is their number 4 wide receiver.
Yeah.
Maybe number 5 because they've been using Hardman so much. They're both on the close contact COVID list, so they have the opportunity, if they test negative, to come off, I believe, tomorrow, maybe Saturday.
Okay.
As long as they keep testing negative. So this honestly may not affect them that much, but it had the opportunity to affect them quite a bit. But both the barber and Robinson and Kilgore, all 3 had their masks on while it was happening. So that's a good thing. So, limits the spread there. But yeah, this had the opportunity of ruining the big game, what everybody was afraid of. So
yeah, it did, but I think you nailed it when you stated that it's obviously it's is the game gonna happen? We all know the answer is. I mean, let's be honest. The NFL, Goodell's sweeping concussions under the rug like it's his job. So,
well, it is his job. It turns out it is his job.
Right? Yeah, that is in the job description. It says in the job description, ignore concussions. But obviously, the whole point of that, me stating that, is they obviously swept it under the rug to
specifically avoid, black people's concussions.
Right? So let's just be honest. They're going to keep the Super Bowl on because ads. I mean, the ads alone are so much money alone. The ads. And then because they probably ratcheted up the price of the ads because of the decrease in ticket sales. So that ad price for 30 seconds, 10-second slots, minute slots are through the roof. So obviously to try to compensate for that significant decrease in obviously, capacity in the audience due to COVID. So the game is still going to go on. We all can agree on that. It's just hopefully it doesn't come back to bite Goodell in the buttocks, 2 weeks down the road. I don't know.
Once the game's played, nobody cares anymore. Let's be honest.
So
I mean,
so
the only way, if Tom Brady tested positive or Patrick Mahomes tested positive, that's the only time you would see the possibility of the game getting moved. And I don't think the game would get moved anyway. It's just, there's too much money riding on it. I think there's no way feasible that you could do this. The players are new. Going into the season, Philip Rivers asked the question, if you test positive going into the Super Bowl, are you still held to the standard? The answer was yes. You're not going to play. So obviously words are wind. They don't matter. They mean legitimately less than the air that comes out to form them. But you did set the precedent. So
true. That's true. So let's get into the predictions then. Chiefs, Buccaneers. I mean, oh no, we already did our predictions. I always forget that we let that 2-week gap. I can't even actually remember. Did we do our predictions? Did we have our predictions?
Yeah, we did.
We had our predictions, correct? I got my money on. I said the Buccaneers. That's right. That's right. The Buccaneers. I said the Buccaneers by 8. I believe that's correct. And you said, who did you go with?
Chiefs.
The Chiefs. That's the thing, is with this game, it's literally a freaking coin toss. It's
either going to be the Buccaneers close or the Chiefs by a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And rumor has it. No, I'm kidding. I'm not even going to joke about that. I saw a funny tweet that someone said that Brady sent the barber there. I'll just leave it at that. He obviously didn't. I don't want no rumors starting here. But.
No, but he did. He did send the barber flowers that were tainted with COVID before he went to go cut the hair. So
one of the funniest memes I ever saw, and still to this day, was, and again, I'm laughing at the, everybody knows this giant cloud that surrounds the Patriots, this cheating cloud that everyone just assumes they're cheating, whatever.
Well, what do you mean assumes? They got caught.
They
got caught twice. They legit got punished because they got caught. Actually, 3 times.
They did so. So I'm not laughing at so what I'm just gonna get into is, so there was this meme that, so Belichick was at the combine, sitting up in the box suite at the combine and drinking some orange juice. And this current season, it was towards the beginning of the season when I can't remember who, but long story short, one player on the Patriots tested positive, and then there was a photo circulating of that player shaking hands or what have you with, after the game with a player of the opposing team that the Patriots were going to play again, I think it was, or something. Yeah. And the meme stated that, while Belichick's drinking his own juice, it said, Belichick doesn't play chess. It doesn't play.
He's playing the long game.
Checkers. He plays chess. Yeah, he plays chess. While he's sitting there drinking his orange juice. But anyways, back on topic. It's going to be exciting weekend. You got any big plans for it?
Probably be playing video games.
I hear you.
I'm uninterested.
Yeah.
I was uninterested last year. I'm more uninterested this year.
You've been uninterested since 2010.
No, that's not true. That's not true. But
the Broncos, we've been salty. There 2 times in the last 10 years. I'm salty. 2. Or I said 1 and 2, 1 and 1 in the last decade. Yeah, I hear you. And then again, I'm not trying to rub it in your face. Neither of us have a dog in the fight, but I think it's just going to be awesome to watch. You're watching Tom Brady, arguably the greatest to ever play the position. He's on his way out. We all know that. And then you have the rising star, Mahomes. So there's a lot of symbolism there, and that's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome stuff. Pretty cool stuff. So I'm excited for the game. I
Hey,
believe. Yep, go ahead. Sorry.
how different do you think the commercials are going to be without Budweiser?
I didn't even know that. But Budweiser's not. They pulled out.
They pulled out. They said that they're not going to do it this year. They're going to put their money towards COVID relief. Allegedly.
The question then is how much money were they? How much money were they paying for? You blew your nose, correct?
Yeah. How'd you know?
That could have been something completely different because you were off screen and.
Yep. You didn't hear it,
But-
did you? I hit the mute button. The mute button
Yeah,
works, right?
I heard it.
You heard it? So the mute button doesn't work on the mic. That's good.
It caught me off guard during one of my work meetings. I was muted. It looked like I was muted, but I wasn't. But anyways,
That's good to
the
know.
question it is the question is how much money was Budweiser paying for ad spots? Because let's be honest, Budweiser is a giant. Pretty sure they have the money to pay for ads plus COVID relief.
They do.
Let's be.
They do. I mean,
Is it just a big? I think it's a personal message.
that's
a
what.
message.
Yeah. I don't know what Budweiser's put towards the pandemic. We guaranteed that they've made probably record profits this year. I think that's pretty much a guarantee. So, yeah, there you have people putting their money where the mouth is, like Barstool. You see them giving money out to help small businesses stay afloat constantly. You see athletes donating to that fund because they're helping so many different people. Like the videos they post are really cool. I don't know. I mean, they might be doing stuff that you just don't see. You don't know. They're just helping out. But yeah, I would say it's a little bit of a message that, hey, we don't need you in the Super Bowl.
I mean, it's
gonna be weird. Like movie trailers, like what are we gonna see for commercials? Because
so did Budweiser have that much space? Did they have that much ad space?
They usually had one per quarter, I think, and like one at halftime.
So then who's taking their spot? Is the question. Budweiser is Anheuser-Busch. So I'm assuming anything under Anheuser-Busch wouldn't.
It'll just be random.
Maybe it's Coors.
Maybe PlayStation.
Maybe Coors is going to step it up. Who knows? But or PlayStation. But yeah, I mean this
PlayStation doesn't need to advertise though. That's the funny thing.
They don't. Oh yeah, they don't.
The demand is so high right now. You won't be able to find a PS5 for 2 years.
Jeez. So that's the football world. I mean, we all know there's just one game left.
I mean, but we could talk about the Fan Control Football League.
Please.
Who you got?
Please.
What team you following? Are you following anything on it at all?
Let's do this.
There's
let's do this right now.
four teams. I got the Wild Aces. I already got my team. I've had my team for a while. So I've got the Wild Aces, and that's Austin Eckler's team. Austin Eckler and Kind of Funny, their team. So it's going to be interesting. It's a really interesting concept. I'm interested because the first game is next Saturday. Yep. First game's next Saturday.
I got the Zappers.
The Zappers, huh? Who owns that team?
No clue. Let me see.
Loser.
I just looked it up right now. The Zappers. But go ahead though, sorry.
I was going to say, it's just, fans are going to call plays. Fans are going to call whether they go for 2-point conversion or like field goals. So, and then it's 7-on-7, right?
Yeah, 7-on-7. I'm
so
switching my team.
It's going to be really interesting football. Like I really hope that it's a good showcase for some of these kids to get invites to NFL camps like you've seen come out of the NFL and the short-lived AAFL. So
That's true. I mean, I think it's yeah. Any type of exposure is well. Obviously, when we're talking about getting putting some tape out there, some film is good for those, like you said, those athletes who are trying to get that exposure. And I think it's just awesome too, man. When you sit back and you talk about fantasy football, you talk about how much that has grown when all you're doing is just picking players and you really don't have much control. Now they've created a league where you actually have control, where you get to choose the roster and you get to pick the plays. That's huge. I think this might be the one that survives.
And it's different, and the reason that it's going to survive is the owners don't actually pay the players. Like the league pays the players. That's where you've seen other leagues fail. So they started kind of big, and each team had an owner that was responsible to make money and pay players. And how they folded is you had teams that were overspent and weren't able to pay their players. So then they had to fold because they couldn't stay afloat as a league. And in this one, they have the league paying all the players. So that's different, and that's pretty cool. I mean, I'm guessing it's not a lot. I mean, it's 4 teams. If they make they make 30,000, 50,000, I would say that's a lot. And I'm assuming it's not that much.
40 people.
I mean, how many? What is it? 8 games? You play each team twice. I mean, that would actually be 6 games, right? And then you go to the playoffs, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it ends up. But it's really cool concept, really cool idea. Go Wild Aces. Let's go. Dominate those Zappers. You got the don't take the Glacier Boys. You are a loser.
No. But I got a reason. I'm not going with the Zappers because Johnny Manziel's with the Zappers. I'm not a Johnny Manziel fan, so I'm not going with the Zappers. Yep, and I said it here. Nope, not a fan. I think he's got to clean up his act. So I'm not going with the Zappers. Glacier Boys. I got the Glacier Boys.
Who owns the Glacier Boys? Because I don't know if you know this, but the Wild Aces have a rivalry with the Glacier Boys, and they play first next week.
Who owns the Glacier Boys? And here we
go. I think it's Quavo. I think that's Quavo's team.
It is, yeah. Quavo.
So how they picked owners are so they paired them up with an athlete, and then you got an owner based on your social media following. So like that channel that I listen to all the time for video games, and then I listen to their other content, Kind of Funny. They had such a big social media following, and it's a really engaged community that they got approached about owning a team like right away.
Oh, geez.
So it's like Quavo, it's like Marshawn Lynch, like Richard Sherman. all these famous people, and then there's Kind of Funny.
Who owns your team again?
It's Austin Eckler and Kind of Funny.
Oh, Chargers and Kind of Funny. Okay.
So yeah, it's gonna be interesting. They've been talking a lot of crap to the Glacier Boys social media account, and they actually got an email saying that they needed to tone it down because this is all fun and games. Like they don't want people to have hurt feelings about it.
Through that.
Yeah, because I think the Glacier Boys complained about it.
I picked the soft team. You gotta. That's the beauty about these. It's kind of like the D leagues, A leagues, whatever you want to call them. Leagues that are not the NFL. Is if you're going to have these leagues, you have to make them exciting. There's got to be a crap ton of trash talking. There's got to be on the sideline interviews.
If you were signed up like right away, you got to vote on rules. Like there were a few rules you got to vote on. You got to vote on the jerseys and the logos and team names.
Glacier Boys. Well, my team. What is your team again? I'm Glacier Boys. You're
Wild Aces.
Oh, that's such a corny name. Wild Aces.
It's an inside joke to the podcast too. So like people are not even like the mascot and the name are an inside joke, and so people are like probably like, what? I don't get it. What the heck is this?
We got Glacier. We got Richard Sherman and Quavo. Richard Sherman alone is the biggest trash talker.
Yeah,
Outside
he's a really good trash talker. He's so smart too. Like, I have a lot of respect for Richard Sherman. So
Stanford, yeah. So it's gonna be exciting, man. Let's go ahead and make our predictions.
what
Glacier
predictions?
Boys versus Wild. Glacier
We don't even
Boys,
know what the rosters are yet, and you're gonna
no idea.
so for the players too, you put in like a hashtag, and then you pick up like whoever has the most hashtags gets the first pick of players on Twitter.
That's gonna be a big league. I think by next year they should double.
They said that they like
They
with
should have
as much
60
engagement as they've had, and then investors are really showing a lot of promise that they could have as many as 20 teams in the next like 5 years. But if you ask me, you start at 4 and then maybe you double but
to 8. Yeah. And then
I don't even know if you do, because then you got to remember all those players. Like,
true.
right now, the reason it's working is because it's 4 teams. They're in a bubble. Like, everybody was in a bubble. They're in a bubble right now, practicing in a bubble. It's basically the NBA bubble is what they are down in Atlanta. So, yeah, it's gonna be really interesting. I really hope it's a fun product. So,
I think they have to let the trash talking happen. You have to.
oh, it's still going on. They didn't stop after that letter. That letter provoked even more. Like, it is hilarious.
Yeah, you can't. The reason why the reason why the NFL got the tag or the name No Fun League is because of those reasons. It was just 2 or 3 years ago you couldn't even celebrate, or whatever, or 5 years ago you couldn't even celebrate in the end zone anymore, stuff like that, and you can't.
You don't need to celebrate in the end zone. Act like you've been there before. All right, Barry Sanders showed you the best way.
But they have to have that sideline interviewing. That was what the American Alliance. What was that called again? American Alliance Football League, AAFL, AFL, right?
No, I think it's the AA, Alliance of American Football League.
Okay. Yeah, they had that sideline interviewing and during the game. So if a quarterback just threw an interception, and then obviously
they'd face the music.
Yeah, they would have to face the music.
What were you thinking? Like, that guy was standing there for 20 seconds and you still threw him the ball. Are you blind? Are you seeing ghosts, Sam Darnold?
I love it. Before he has the chance to even go and speak to the quarterback's coach or the OC, he has a mic in front of his face to answer. I mean, that just brings another element to the game that we're not familiar with. So I think obviously for these leagues that are trying to, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say they're trying to compete with the NFL. You can't really compete with the NFL, but if
they're trying to break in, at least.
Right. If you're trying to gain some serious traction, you have to make it exciting. And the only way to make it exciting, because there's only so much you can do in the game of football that's different than the NFL. But those things that you can do, like sideline interviewing, trash talking on social media, all that jazz can bring a nice spice to it.
You know what it kind of reminds me of, though, is like what you hear about European soccer league fans, like the Premier League fans, like getting after each other. Like, they don't even care what happens on the field. It's about how the interaction is. So, that's gonna be interesting because, Glacier Boys, they're gonna start crying. They're gonna be Glacier Boys when the Wild Aces are done with you.
Hopefully, they walk out with
that's the other thing I saw today. Did you see this? They showed the entrance, like where the players are gonna come out, and it's basically a WWE entrance.
Let's go.
I'm not even joking.
And I hope they come out. You know how Miami, right, has the what's the chain called? The turnover chain. Glacier Boys, the ice. Hopefully they got diamonds on, and hopefully they got the chain. It's the Glacier Boys, man. It's Quavo. Come on, it's Quavo. They gotta uphold the name, and they better. And if they win, if they beat your team, I'm buying a shirt. I'm buying. Yep. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna go to their website and see if I can purchase a shirt.
You can right now. You can actually. They sell the merch. So they were selling it at first. It lasted for a couple weeks. I almost bought it, but I couldn't bring myself to pull the trigger. I have too many sweatshirts and I have too many t-shirts right now, but I need to do some purging before I buy any more t-shirts. They said like whatever your team was that you bought, and then it had first round draft pick on the sleeves. It was actually pretty cool. I probably should have bought one, but I didn't. Yeah. But yeah, like their merch has been pretty cool. That's their jerseys do look slick too, like that because they were voted on, and like you had some professional graphics people like put them on there to the designs. They came out really sweet.
I like that stuff, man. I'm excited about that. But I like your segue. You talked about some Premier League, some soccer, the fans. The one thing that kind of pulled me into the Premier League, really, I mean, European soccer as a whole, is just that spirit. You know what I mean? That it
smells like team spirit.
My gosh, man, you got 140,000 people. Some of those stadiums can hold that many. Just going crazy. It's just a beautiful thing to witness.
I mean, gang fights between fans. Like the fans are gangs, legitimately.
I'm sorry, that stuff's funny to me because you're grown adults. If that's drunk, probably. Hey, I'm not condoning it, but have at it. If that's what you want to do, so be it. But obviously, I'm Man City. You're Liverpool. What's going on with your boys, man?
I thought they beat a really good team in Tottenham, and then they turn around and they lose again to just as bad a team as they lost to the week before that. So it's like they turn the corner, they have a really good game, and then they lose 1-0 at home for the second time in a row. And it was like the last time was the first time they lost in like 5 years, and now they lost 2 in a row. Two bad teams. Like, not even like solid teams, like teams that might get relegated bad.
No, man, that's the crazy thing about soccer. That's one of those sports, and I think baseball is the same too. Baseball and soccer are those two sports where when you're off, you're off. I think like if you're off in basketball, you can possibly still put up 15 points.
I don't know.
I think if you're off running back, if you're off playing running back, maybe 2 fumbles, but you probably still ran for 60, 70 yards.
Just ask Melvin that one game.
Yeah, exactly. And so for soccer and baseball, speaking about soccer, could you imagine having an off day? Let's say just 2 players have an off day. I mean, you're talking sluggish probably from running, hand-eye coordination, or I guess it's head-eye.
It's still hand-eye coordination. It's the same thing.
Right, when you head it, I guess.
You're talking about your body being coordinated.
Right, and obviously your feet. I mean, I feel like when you're off with that, you're off. And then obviously baseball's all hand-eye. So I'm like, if you're off with that timing, it's a wrap. So I think there's no, oh, well, it's either you're going to play crappy or you're going to play decent in those sports.
Sure.
No. You can have an opposing opinion.
There's always like being in that zone, and then there's slumps, and then there's just average. You're just playing like how you would normally play, right? I think that does exist. I think that middle area exists, but slumping is for real. And I think you're right that it affects baseball like a lot. You look at Christian Yelich last year, and then soccer. You could see it in soccer. Like Messi for a long time was slumping. Like he was not happy, did not want to be there.
right?
And now he's been playing a little bit better, but you're starting to see that it's almost like, they just won their first championship in like 30 some years. It was like, it does seem kind of like it's the hangover, right? The championship hangover is what they're going through right now, but I don't know. It's not good. Do you see that Man U score though from yesterday?
Yeah. Man U score
9-0.
Oh, no, Man U. No, I didn't see Man U.
Yeah,
my team's Man City.
I know your team's Man City.
Who did they play? Man U. I didn't see.
It was a small team. I can't remember.
My team, Man City.
I think it was Southampton, maybe.
Okay, Man City. We played I had to read Burnley. We played Burnley, and I actually caught a few of the highlights of that game. I mean, it was a blowout. It was a blowout, and I'm glad that I picked Man City because the Liverpool boys, I think they're a good squad, but I was feeling like it was all just.
They will turn it around. They have the talent. They have the talent. You can't basically go an entire year giving up like 3 or 4 goals the entire year and then just lose it. That's not how that works. Like,
yeah, that doesn't happen.
I mean, it does because you look at the Detroit Pistons, but the Detroit Pistons did it for 2 years and then they lost everything. LeBron James kind of got in their heads, but
true. Man City beat Burnley. Beat them good. It was a 2-0 game, but when you look at that's why soccer is such a beautiful sport, because I had to write some of the stats down here. Because when you look at this, it's like baseball, for instance. You can have a low scoring game, but there can still be a significant amount of dominance. And that's what happened with Man City when they played Burnley, which we all possibly could have guessed that. So look at these stats right here. Man City had 13 shots. 13 shots, 6 of them were on target. Burnley had 2 shots, 0 on target.
We're talking about Burnley.
I know. But that's what I want to just mention these stats because I want for people to understand. Maybe there's people out there who don't watch soccer and they say, "Oh, 2-0, that's a close game." Not really, because we had the ball for 75% of the time. We kept possession. They only had it for 25%.
That's the thing about these Liverpool losses. They've held the control for between 70 and 75%. They've had over 10 shots, but their shots aren't on target. So like, that's the thing. It feels like a slump, but it feels like a bad slump. Like it could turn into a self-fulfilling prophecy, like the Packers in NFC Championship games. It's just, that one bad thing happens and you just get down. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
I mean, you stated it where it's that you're coming off of a championship year. So, I mean, we see that in the NFL. We haven't seen that recently.
We see it in basketball. We see it in every sport.
Seen it in basketball a lot. We haven't seen it in the NFL a lot recently. That being the team winning the Super Bowl.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah. Well, when was that? What was that? 4 years? Yeah, I guess
that was 3 years ago.
3?
That was 3 years ago.
No, I said 4. So yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm looking at these comments too. I see you staring at the comments, but yeah, you see it in football too. But for some reason, it doesn't seem like you haven't seen it that much. I at least haven't been seeing it. Well, Broncos. The Broncos. The more and more I'm sitting here thinking about it, my own team, 2015, dominated the Panthers in the Super Bowl and haven't even been in the discussion for coming out of the AFC West since. Haven't even.
Well, I mean, since Mahomes took over, that's really what it is. They had knee brace throws out the 49ers in the Super Bowl last year, and now they're picking 12. I said injuries. Like they were the most injury-riddled team at key positions this year. Like,
oh yeah, they were limping. Every single position was limping.
The fact that they were still in the playoff discussion in Week 16 is like that's one of the best coaching jobs of the year by
I think
Shanahan.
it was just a very. I give them their credit, but I think that was just such a poor fourth quarter performance, that being of the season for the Seahawks. What happened?
Yeah,
what happened to the Seahawks? What happened?
Their true talent came out.
They started the year off like they were gonna waltz into the Super Bowl. I mean, Russell Wilson up until like week 8, 7, week 8. I think actually probably be further than that. Probably like week 10 was really up there next to Rodgers for MVP discussion, and then just plummeted. Now,
remember when you said Russell is going to win the MVP this year running away in week 2? And I was like, hold on a second. Aaron Rodgers is having a really good year too. And you're like, Aaron Rodgers is washed up. He ain't making the Hall of Fame. He's, Wonder Woman 1984, best movie I've seen in 6 years.
How long is that? I've never said that. Never said that. I don't even think I mentioned that week 2 about Russell. I think it was.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Okay, hey, you were still like in November. You were still pumping that up so hard.
Hey, he was playing lights out, man. They were playing some good football, and then they just fell. So I just wanted to mention that because, yeah, I give Shanahan credit. I think he's doing a phenomenal. We all know he's doing a phenomenal job.
And I mean, what Saleh did with that defense too. Like, would they lose their top 4 defensive linemen? I'm pretty sure they lost them to season-ending injuries. Their top 4 their 4 starters across the defensive line they lost.
Yeah.
Not to mention they lost Richard Sherman for like 5 or 6 weeks. Like,
right. I mean, I think we also got to give credit. John Lynch is still there, right? So
yeah.
Got to give him some credit.
So imagine what they're gonna do with the 12th pick. A team that loaded.
He's good, man. I like John Lynch. I think they got a good one right there. He's playing chess, and to turn that team around the way he did, that's some pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff, especially back in 2014 when P. Willie, good old Patrick Willis, decided to hang the cleats up. I believe it was 2014. And then that's when Chris Borland was stepping in. No, actually, I think it was 2013, whatever year it was. And then Chris Borland obviously stepped in and was balling. And then obviously he hung the cleats up as well too. So I mean, we're talking averaging about 12 to 13 tackles a game. That's a player that's hard to replace. So I give credit to Lynch as well for getting them players in the right spots, picking the right players from the draft market, picking the right players from the free agency market. I mean, kudos to him. Sure. Kudos to him.
That season was ridiculous. I think the only game they really got blown out in was the Packer game. Pretty much every other game besides that, they were competitive. Like that Thursday night game, I just remember it because I was in Oklahoma. I was on my way to Oklahoma City, I'm pretty sure. And it was like they were just blowing it, and I'm like, okay, this is crazy, but this is a lot of injuries too. So
a very beat up team, a very, very beat up team. I think it's I think next football season, I think the Browns aren't done. Which I'm sure many people think the same thing, but and again, I don't want to continuously go down this football path. I mean, we want to talk about some baseball here, but what the Browns showed this year is that obviously everything is clicking. They're firing on all cylinders, and I think that is a very dangerous football team. If they actually,
what do they do with Beckham? Because that was when they kicked it into high gear after his injury.
I'd trade him for, trying to think of where their hole may be.
They don't trade. You don't see player for player trades anymore. You see for draft picks. So if you trade him, that's a pretty big contract. What are you realistically gonna get? Because he hasn't shown he's worth a first round pick for a few years now. The talent's still there, obviously. He's coming off a big injury.
This is his second time injuring that same knee, or is it the other knee?
I think it's the other knee.
Oh man, feel for him, man, because he's a monster. He's a very electrifying football player. So I would trade him though, mainly because they showed what they can do without him, and they know that they can get something for him. This as bad as that sounds, that's just the game. That's just how the game is. And I'm going to anticipate that. Absolutely. But let's go ahead and go on to baseball.
I can't believe it. You hit me up and you're like, I want to talk baseball. I want to talk baseball because the biggest signing of the offseason had just happened. Colton Wong signed with the Brewers for 2 years, $18 million, and with a player option for a third. And it's like, man, the Brewers just solved their infield issues, and they added a really good on-base player, which is what they need. Because on paper, the Brewers lineup should be really good, but their lineup was terrible last year. They didn't lose last year because of their pitching, which is what everybody thought it was going to be. They lost because their lineup was terrible. It starts with Yelich.
Did you even win with you? Did you even? Yeah, you haven't won since. When's the last time you won the World Series? You didn't even win with Prince.
That's what you're going with.
Just saying. We've
never won the World Series. Thanks for piling on.
And I am a fan of arguably the greatest franchise in all of sports outside of the Yankees. That being the St. Louis Cardinals. The
New England Patriots have something to say to you.
Yeah. Okay, if we want to add them, then we can add the Steelers too. So
I don't know. What have the Steelers done since they lost the Super Bowl to the Packers?
I think they got the same. They got the same Super Bowl rings or Lombardi trophies. I think 6-6, right? I think.
I don't think so. I think it's 6-5.
6-5. Okay.
And then the Packers have 4.
The biggest signing of the offseason for the Major League Baseball.
It's not technically a signing, it's a trade.
Same difference. He signed something when he got to St. Louis. Nolan Arenado, however you want to say his last name. And I'll be honest, I'm not even going to sit here.
What position does he play?
No idea. But when I was obviously there playing for the Broncos, I went to a good amount of, I was going to say Coors games, but went to Coors Field a lot to watch the Rockies play. And obviously Nolan was the guy. He was the guy. And then obviously the huge talk about his contract and all that stuff. So I actually watched him probably about 10 times in person. And then obviously, just all the buzz that circulated around him during away games and etc. A phenomenal player. And I'm very excited to see him come to the Cardinals because earlier today, RJ, I told you, actually before we started recording, I was like, I'm not so sure how he's going to mesh. But after I did more thinking on it, I feel very confident in our Cardinals this year. Very confident. Nolan Carpenter and our pitcher, Wainwright. I like Wainwright. I do remember watching him a few times.
Do you know how old Adam Wainwright is? Do you know the last time he was effective?
Do you know?
Are you throwing? And then what Carpenter? Matt Carpenter? Dude's been benched for the past 2 years. He's been terrible.
Do you know how old Tom Brady is?
Okay. What does that have to do with Adam Carpenter?
Doesn't matter.
Not Adam Carpenter. Adam Wainwright.
Adam Wainwright. You're saying I shouldn't be a fan because he's old.
No, what I'm saying is you shouldn't be a fan because he's not good anymore.
When's the last time you guys made it out of the division?
last year.
What'd you do after that?
Well, we lost the eventual. Actually, we didn't
you
make it
guys
last year.
did.
That was 2 years ago.
2 years ago. You guys lost to.
And then the year
Oh,
before that, we went to the NLCS. So, you know,
Was it? I'm trying to think of the team you guys lost to who and they won
Washington,
the whole thing.
Washington
God
Nationals.
Dang it, the Nationals. That's right. God dang it. I actually watched that World Series. I'm not even gonna lie. When the Nationals went after beating y'all.
So,
But anyways, no, I like it. I like it, even if.
but you're not even talking about the players that matter for the team. That's what's funny. It's Jack Flaherty. It's
Nope.
Paul Goldschmidt and it's Nolan Arenado. Like,
the one thing that I've noticed with you, RJ, is you don't
appreciate.
No. I'll know. You think that if a player's on the bench, that they're not contributing. In your head, if a player is on the bench, he
I don't.
cannot contribute any way at all to the team. Matt Carpenter is a leader for that squad.
I don't know about that.
He is.
Okay.
He is. And I say that because we had a previous conversation where I think it was football we were talking about, and I was talking about an individual. I cannot remember, but doesn't get a lot of clock. But I was like, but he's still such a great leader for the team. I can't remember. Oh, I think we were talking about Brady, because Brady, let's be honest, Brady doesn't really play that well. I mean, he does, but he didn't really play that well against the Packers. I think that was the conversation. Didn't play that well against the Packers, but I'm still saying, but it's his leadership. It's his leadership. So it's Carpenter's leadership. How about this? I'm going to look at the schedule of when they play the Brewers, and I'm going to watch every single game.
Okay.
When they play the Brewers.
All right. I think you are vastly overrating in baseball how much a veteran who struggles at times has an effect on team morale. I mean, it does have an effect, but if that was the case, then the Cleveland baseball team last year would have made a run into the playoffs.
You can't compare. That's very anecdotal. You can't compare one person's leadership and just use it as.
I'm not using it as a blanket. I'm saying like the way
the Cardinals.
When you have a hitter who is playing below average defense and hitting below 200.
See, all that stuff's over my head right there.
It doesn't matter how much of a leader they are in the clubhouse. Like, you're not helping the team out.
All right.
At that point.
All right, you called my bluff.
But now, like, what you're talking about is like what David Ross was to the Cubs when the Cubs won the World Series. And he retired after that. He's a catcher. And he was John Lester's personal catcher. So basically, the only time he ever played was when John Lester pitched. But his leadership on that team, and they talked about it going into the World Series, and he had a huge home run in the Game 7 of the World Series that they won. Like, they said that the next year that's what they were missing in their clubhouse, was somebody with that kind of leadership. And like when I hear you talk about that, that's like Jerry Harrison Jr. with the Brewers. The first year the Brewers won the division, that was the Prince Fielder Ryan Braun year. Like, players like that it's not necessarily like the stats they put up. It's about, like a David Freese. That's a very good example. That's a very good example. Like, it's not necessarily the stats that they put up, but it's the plays they make, especially in the clutch. And not just that, but they don't panic. They're just, they're stoic. But when you have players playing below average defense and not hitting above 200, that nobody's gonna take you serious. Like, dude, you're a clown.
Hey, I'm learning and learning about baseball more and more as I go. Here's the thing about baseball. I really appreciate the sport, but there's just so many games and so many moving parts all the time.
I don't disagree with that. That's so true.
And then you got 83 games.
162.
Like, come on, man.
I really wanted to drop down to like 120. I would prefer 100.
Like, come on.
But
man.
that'll never happen with as greedy as the owners are. I think it would be a better game. You'd have better rested players.
I think you'd probably have more
get
fans.
You'd get to see more. You'd get to see the pitchers more often over the course of a year because they'd have even more rest time.
True.
So, yeah, I mean, the game's changing so much too. Like, now you used to have closers that came in to finish games. They used to come in for like 2+ innings, and then they came in for, 1 inning, and then they started coming in for like 1 out. Now you have openers that start the game, that similar position as the closers. They get the first 3 outs and they get pulled, and then they go to their starter, and their starter will go 4 innings, and then you bring in your bullpen, and it's like, you get an inning here and an inning there, and it's just it's a different game than it was even 2 years ago. It's not the same, and you gotta keep your mind open about things that are changing. Like defensively, you have your shifts, like your shifts. So if you're a big pull hitter, and they shift you, your average, a 300 average 5 years ago is now basically a 280 average. And, 280 used to be about what league average hitters would be, and now it's like 250. But the on base percentage, the walks have gone up.
See, I know baseball is a stats game. It's a stats game. And I'm trying to learn as much as I can as we go. Just because my entire life has been football, but it's, to me, still to this day, even though I appreciate the sport more today than I did 5 years ago. I still think a 300 batting average is terrible. I'm sorry. What's that saying?
Dude, you barely hit 300 in softball where they're tossing it up like this.
What is that? What is that saying? 300. That's saying what? What is that saying? 3 out of 10 times they hit the ball.
3 out. Yeah.
Just about around. That's terrible.
It's not that you hit the ball, but you hit the ball and get on base.
Terrible.
But really, what you're really looking at is what you want is a 350 plus on base percentage. 320 is perfectly fine, but if you could get 350 plus, which is basically means you come up to bat 3.5 times out of 10, you get on base. So you get walked, hit by pitch. Anyway, it's a different way to look at it.
Okay.
One thing that drives me crazy about this era of baseball is they don't appreciate putting the ball in play as much as I would. So like, it's basically strikeout or double or home run. Like, you don't really have those base hitters. And if you have a base hitter, they're not as appreciated as the guys who hits doubles and home runs. Because the thinking is, if you have a young player that hits a lot of doubles, they hit the weight room, those doubles turn into home runs. So that's the thinking of a lot of it. But if you play good defense, you can spray that ball around the field and you take your walks, like, that needs to be a little bit more appreciated. And that's a lost skill that a lot of players don't have because, hey, let's face it, chicks dig the long ball,
Jeez. You were doing so well right there too.
But it's true. That's what people do. They want to hit the long ball.
True.
And
that's true. That's true.
That's
how I would be. I'm hitting a home run every time I get up to base, which is why I think I'd be a terrible baseball player. I'm swinging for the fences every single time. Every pitch, I'm swinging for the fences.
And you see that, and with a lot of players, like Carlos Gomez for the Brewers, he was maybe a league average player. Like, he was a very good defender, but he wasn't a great hitter. He got to the Brewers, and they told him, hey, swing as hard as you can every time. We don't care. And he started doing that, and all of a sudden he hits 35 home runs, and he steals 30 bases, and he's one of the best center fielders in the game. And that was kind of when it started to change a little bit. But when you get to the postseason, you got to be able to have a hitting coach who can get in the players' heads and say, every run matters here. We don't need the long ball every single time. If you get 2 strikes, go to right field or, left field, whatever the opposite is for you. Like, you got to put the ball in play, because when you put the ball in play, you force the defense to make a play. And even if it's routine, sometimes they make a mistake and you get on base, and all of a sudden you can get a run. So I don't like bunting very much either. Like, there's situational bunting that works, but just bunting a guy over to second base, especially if, let's say, it's your 6 or 7 hitter. Now you have your 8 hitter coming up to hopefully hit him around. Like, yeah, you're a major league hitter and that's what you're hoping for, but let him swing away, because good things could happen. Like,
right.
You might see the pitcher might make a mistake to you and you get good contact. All of a sudden you have a double. Dude scores from first. Like, that happens. It's just sometimes there's outthinking. Managers outthink themselves, and
that's in every sport. Oh God.
Yeah, but it's been really bad in baseball the past.
See, that's
few
the
years.
crazy part to me, is I would never think that was so actually common in baseball, because when you look at the sport, it's like, okay, what is the manager? Like, what is he really doing? It's kind of like the head coach of the basketball NBA team. Like, yeah, you probably design a few plays here and there, but you just tell the players to play.
Well, it's
and do drills and practice.
The managers come up with your lineups. They kind of come up with like your overall philosophy as a team, like how your rotation is going to set up compared to your bullpen. The biggest thing the managers do now is managing a pitching staff, and then like your hitting and how aggressive you are in stealing bases and stuff. So, I would say that's where how aggressive you get in late inning situations is kind of where they outthink themselves. Like, walking the bases loaded to try to get a double play ball, or, because most hitters strike out now. So why would you intentionally walk when most hitters strike out? You get that free out if you just go after them. And yeah, you know what? You might get burned, but sometimes you just got to put the faith in your team.
So the managers of these baseball teams, they're just, I'm learning more and more about the game of baseball. Obviously, I understand the basics of it, but it's a very situational game. I think that's where the managers come into play, where it's certain situations where, like you said, if bases are loaded, or if there's, I don't know, somebody on first base, and I'm getting a little bit more about it. Obviously the lineup and when to bunt and when to. So a very situational game. I think, that's where the managers step in. Similar, I think, to, well, NFL in the sense too. Let's be honest, head coaches don't really do anything either. It's the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, position coaches, and general manager. Let's be real, that's the squad right there. And obviously special teams coach, but the head coach typically is there for situational football. What are you going to do before halftime? Right before the halftime, what are you going to do if you're down?
You had to go there, didn't you? Just hurting those wounds.
I actually
those
didn't
wounds
mean
are still open. You're just going to take
my
the
bad.
salt, pour it in.
I really didn't mean to do that.
Next thing you're going to say, it's like, what are you going to do before the half? Kevin King. what are you going to do at the end of the game?
I really was.
Like Kevin King. What's going to happen? Pull jerseys off of players? Like,
I really wasn't saying that. I was just saying of times where it's times where it's going to be situational. Who's going to have the football right before halftime? You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's like,
no, I get it.
Go for it, or we can take a knee just to go into third quarter.
Like, one thing Bruce Arians did that was unbelievably ballsy and an unbelievably big call was to call that timeout before he punted it and put Brady back on the field to go for 4th and 3 right before that deep pass. Like, you've had the Packers number on 3rd and 4th down all day. Yeah. Gave it to Brady. Got the first down.
The Packers should have went for that. Try to go for the score.
I don't know. I
I would have put my money
You're
on
at
Rodgers.
fourth and 8. You've had problems inside the 10 all game long. You have to stop them on defense one time. No matter what, you have to stop them on defense once. So I don't know. I still either way you had to stop them on defense and you couldn't. So
damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
Yeah. And I mean, we have the opportunity to know what happened, but at the same time, if that's the thing is, I think if I was LaFleur, I would have just been like, you know what? Just gonna put all the trust in Rodgers. Put it all in Rodgers. I don't wait for it. You know, that might have been the spark that the team would have needed at that time too.
Right.
Like think of that boost. Like, you know, coach believes in us so much that he's going to give us this opportunity. Let's say they don't get it. Fire up your defense. Like, hey, he believes we can stop them and get that ball back to 12's hands. So maybe, there's something to be said about that.
It is what it is. Man, again, I don't want to go down that path again. We had that conversation, but I feel for Rodgers. I feel for him, man. Gosh dang, I feel for him. He cannot get this time back.
Well,
wear and tear on his body.
You know, we talked about the Nolan Arenado trade in baseball.
Yep.
Trevor Bauer is probably the biggest free agent out there still now. One of the bigger free agent signings was by the Philadelphia Phillies signing catcher JT Realmuto.
Yeah.
He's the best catcher in the league. He's like Travis Kelce, like the best player at the position, and it's not really close. Even though George Kittle is really close to Travis Kelce, but like this year, because Kittle was injured for all year, that's how much better Realmuto is compared to every other catcher in the game. Right.
You ready for me to blow your mind right now? You know that Travis Kelce and Gronk are the same age?
No. Are you serious? I need to see proof of this. I need to see birth certificates because I don't believe this.
I'll pull it up right now.
Travis Kelce's has not been in the league for that long.
Travis Kelce is 31 years old.
I would not have guessed he was 30.
I did not think he was older than me.
Huh.
Gronk is 31 years old.
Gronk is an old 31, though. He's an old 31.
Okay, so his birthday's in May. Kelce birthday is in October. So Gronk is older than him by whatever those months are. You know, whatever that difference is from May to October. That's so sorry, completely off topic there, but
no, that's fine. That's just crazy.
It's right. You would never guess that, but man, Gronk's body, jeez. But yeah, those are some good trades, or some good pieces that are moving in baseball.
And I mean, Nelson Cruz, who's a DH, he's really, really good hitter. He's like 36, 37 years old, but dude just keeps hitting 30 bombs a year and hits over 300. Really consistent. He signed back with the Twins. Like the Twins were the team that really took the league by storm last year.
Yeah.
And they're setting themselves up to do it again this year. So that'll be fun. It's fun watching teams like that have been like the Rays, like the Royals when they did it, and even the Giants, San Francisco. Watching teams build through the farm, and then those players come up and they start to do really good, and then you have these really smart free agent signings like what the Brewers did with Ricky Weeks, Brian Braun, Corey Hart, Prince Fielder, Giovanni Gallardo, and then they made the trade for CC Sabathia to go all in, make the playoffs, and then the next year they win the division. So yeah, that was so much fun. I wish that I was more sober so I could remember those days even better. But I remember them decent enough.
Since you mentioned that, I'll share my story. Then I've never been to. Oh yeah, I have actually. Previous to me throwing out the first pitch at Miller Park. I never been to a Brewers game. The first time I went was I was in college. We took a bus down there, and I didn't make it in the game. Too drunk. I slept on the bus. But good thing that we're both sober now. So
you're missing out. You're missing out. It's a fun stadium. It's a really fun stadium.
Yeah,
so
I've been when I threw at the first pitch. I stayed. I like it. I like Brewer Stadium. The greatest is Busch Stadium, but I like Brewer Stadium. I like it.
I miss the smells. That's what I miss.
Of beer?
Of the stadium.
Seems like
the
there's
home game.
Huge, overwhelming sense of beer.
I mean, the stale beer, peanuts, hot dogs, brats. Listen, that's baseball, man. Baseball in Wisconsin.
Baseball is more fun to watch on at home.
Now you're lying. You enjoy watching baseball more at home than in person? What is wrong with you?
Yeah, I don't want to sit out there and bake in the sun.
Who do you watch games with?
Sit there and bake in the sun to watch.
You must watch with boring people.
I'm trying to think.
That answers it. All I need to know right there.
The games that I went to, those individuals I do no longer associate with.
Because they're boring. All they do is drink. So that's all they.
Right.
That's how boring. There's nothing other than that.
Coors Field, we wouldn't even sit. We would never go to our seats. We would just be up at. They have a bar.
Yeah.
Up on that, we would just be.
Miller Park has one of those too.
So we would never.
I'm sorry. American Family Field.
That's terrible. That's terrible. That's terrible. Let them try to do that to Busch Stadium. St. Louis will go wild. That's
Dude,
gross.
You think Milwaukee's not going wild?
Yeah, I remember it was all over the news.
It still is.
Oh, geez, that's a terrible name. American Family. Is it insurance on there too? American Family Insurance Field or just American Family Field?
I'm pretty sure it's just American Family Field.
Okay. Terrible. Either way, it's terrible. It's gross. It's terrible.
Well, that's all I got.
Yeah, I was just thinking too. We covered everything but basketball.
I don't think there's anything else.
I think the Nets are clicking, but
yeah, they've been surprisingly like really, really good. Like James Harden,
they're clicking.
Has been very.
He's showing up.
Whatever the team needs. Like if they don't need him to take shots, he won't take shots, which is something that I didn't think would happen. So
they had to pull. They pulled him to the side and probably told him.
So
how do you?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he's played with Kevin Durant in finals, like at high level before. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how long this lasts with Kyrie too. But
he's not liking it. You can tell on his face.
He doesn't want to play basketball, but he can't make money any other way. So
you can tell he's not enjoying it. Last thing I want to say before we we never really touched on this, and I don't want to be long, but the Gordon situation. I tweeted something out a while ago, and I just want to mention this now. It's relevant to sports. Josh Gordon, for those who may not know, wide receiver who jumped from the Browns, the Patriots,
Seahawks,
two other teams, or Seahawks, and long story short, he's dealing with substance abuse, a dilemma in a sense, and I think he needs to maybe understand. And again, it's just my assumption, but maybe football is what's triggering him.
That's what I think too. I think football is his trigger because every time he gets clean, and he's clean for months, and then he gets back to practice and it becomes an issue.
Yeah. I think someone needs to have that conversation with him that football may be your trigger, man. Which is, I mean, any professional sport. I mean, yeah, it's a
lot of stress. Yeah,
yeah, a lot. Job security doesn't exist. You can be traded tomorrow. and just obviously having social media fans on your back to perform is stressful. But long story short, hope he gets the care that he needs. Here at Untapped Keg, we care about individuals, we care about everybody, and here with Untapped Keg Sports, we want for Josh Gordon to get right.
Yeah. That goes for anybody who's dealing with substance abuse. So if you and people haven't seen it, there's a great piece on ESPN written by somebody who is also sober. But CC Sabathia, he had to leave the Yankees right before a playoff push because of alcoholism. So, and he had to go into rehab, and it was pretty dark days for him. But he's been sober for, I think it's a little bit over a year,
nice,
maybe 2 years. But yeah, shout out to Orlando Franklin too for 9 months posted on Twitter. That's really cool.
Oh, we called him O. He's a funny cat. He's a funny cat. And then he went to Baltimore. Yeah, I think he went to Baltimore. Can't remember, but that's all I got, man. I had a lot of energy for this one, so
yeah. Shut up. Shout out to @Gab Bradley on Twitter for hitting us up. Got back to him too.
Oh,
about,
that's right.
Yeah, just letting us know, his story, and that was pretty cool too. So feel free to hit us up on Twitter at Untapped Keg, Facebook Untapped Keg. We got a new group there too. Hopefully get some discussions going, talking about Colton Wong signing with the Brewers. That's fantastic. I'm excited about that. Shout out to DC Anderson who was on here, Droop Dog, Knee Brace. We appreciate everybody tuning in.
Hey, let's get Dan the man. Let's get Dan. Let's see if Dan wants to hop on maybe in the future. But
yeah, that'd be sweet. I would enjoy that. So
yeah,
he's been there since the beginning. So we appreciate everybody tuning in. Send untappedkeg.com. You find us on any podcast, your podcast service of choice. We're on them all under Untapped Keg. Untapped Keg on YouTube, search it. Twitch.tv/Untapped Keg. Find us. Reddit and Discord, Untapped Keg, search it. Discord, we've been big on. Like, if you want to find out what we're doing day to day, Discord's the way to be. So, yeah, we appreciate everybody, stepping up. We feel really good about the content we've been making, and we hope you guys do too. So I feel like the more we get into it, the older my kids get, maybe I'll get a little bit more time. Like, sports is our more focused show, and we're trying not to hit the stuff that they talk about on the big shows all the time too. So yeah, we're just and one day we'll get good at editing, and we'll actually add effects and stuff. So one day. But
but we got to make sure the foundation is right before we get to the bells and whistles.
That's what
you sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, that's what I'm trying to tell people at work. When you build a culture on a bad foundation, really you're just building something that's gonna fall pretty quickly. So sometimes you gotta tear it down to start brand new.
Hey, a lot of those streaming accounts out there, Twitch accounts, or podcasts, not a lot of bells and whistles, a lot going on, but not authentic content. And that's just what we focus on, is that authenticity.
And BS. We don't know what we're talking about. Swimming in it. Swimming in it. My eyes are brown because I'm that full of it. So you know what? Yeah, anybody hit us up. We'll talk to you back. We love it. Instagram, everything. We're on it. Untapped Keg. Find us. We appreciate it. Have a good week. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Hit up Fan Control Football League team. Seems pretty sweet. Go Wild Aces.
Go Glacier Boys. Ice, baby.
You ain't going anywhere but the trash. So we'll catch you guys next week, and let's try to be better tomorrow than we were today. Because at least if we failed, we tried. Have a good week, everybody.